and coming at you from all angles as we normally do. How you boys doing?
Good, man. What's up?
Wonderful.
What's up?
Awesome. From YouTube again, 3rd edition, guys.
Whoa!
Thanks for joining us.
First basketball edition.
Putting some names to some faces here. Yes, first basketball edition. Mike, Cam, Noel, Tanner, right here coming at you. And Cake behind the scenes as usual doing his thing. Thank you for that, picking up the pieces. And, thanks, of course, to all our friends and family supporting us through here, tuning in. And, of course, all of our viewers around the world. This is, of course, for you guys, every bit we do for you. So, Cake, let them know if they've forgotten how they can get in touch with us here at the show for any feedback and where they can get up-to-date information on our content.
Hey guys, check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We got free college basketball picks for you every day. If you're looking for ways to check out the show, we're on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play, and Spotify. And don't forget to check out the video on YouTube. Back to you, boys.
All right, thanks for that, Cake. Now, guys, if you don't know, you should know, but if you don't know, it's time to get you in the know. Our goal is to bring you some quality sports content, some fun and engaging ways, guys, and help you enjoy being a fan of your team more. Enjoy the social aspect as well as, watching sports in general more, I think. And maybe even spit some knowledge to, some hooligans to your local pub talking out of their butts. So,
Talking down the
if this is your first time, guys, welcome. Thank you very much for joining us. You found your new regular sports fix. And, for our regulars, you know what it is. Wherever you're listening, AirPods at work, drive, just chilling at home. It's that time again. Let's break it down, fellas. Tanner?
Yeah, how's it going, guys? We're going to start off with bracketeering, the Four Corners bracketeering that we've done every week. We're going to mix it up a little bit. We've been doing our number 1 seeds and revealing to you guys who we think will get the number 1 seed at the end of the season. So this time around, we're going to kind of play off what ESPN's doing. They released their their selection show of the top 4 seeds in each region. So we're going to give you the 4 seeds from each seeds 1 through 4. Each of us probably have something different. We'll find out soon. Kind of discuss why we think teams will be at a 1 seed or a 4 seed or not even in there at all. So we'll just start off with the 1 seeds if you want to go first, Mike.
Yeah, starting this off early before ESPN wears off there. So, bracketeering here, guys. I think my number 1 seeds, do you want me to just go all 4 number 1s?
Yeah.
You want me to do? Okay. I have Virginia as my top overall seed in the tournament. Lost 1 game all year. One of the best defenses in the country. I'm really looking at strong conference basketball play here, guys. And you'll see that throughout my entire picks. The Big Ten, the Big 12, the ACC, and the SEC, I think, are really dominating. The Big East is surprising, and I think it really follows them up there. But those 4 conferences, you'll see a kind of parity through my picks here. So Virginia's at number 1 overall. Duke right there, nipping at their heels. I think they're nose in nose with Virginia. The ACC is my conference, as I've stated before. I think that one line is just something that Duke and Virginia have both been targeting all year. I think resume-wise, they've been very strong. They, have a lot of good wins against the AP 15, the AP 25, and I think that's because of strength of conference. So that's really where I'm looking at here, especially with the 1s and 2 seeds. So Virginia and Duke, and leading into that, Tennessee is my 3rd number 1, my tournament favorite. If you guys have listened to past college basketball episodes there. Tennessee is my 3rd number 1, and then of course my 4th, Michigan, is my 4th number 1 seed. I think taking an SEC team and taking a Big Ten team there. No Big 12 teams. I bet no one's a little surprised at that, but
nope.
You're struggling a little bit.
Nope, not at all.
Just making sure. And so that's what I'm looking at. SEC there. And then the Big Ten for those other 2 teams. I think Michigan State. A lot of us had early, but. I think they fall
and then just moving on, Cam, if you want to go, and if you have one different, you can kind of explain why that one's in there.
The only one that I had different from Mike, I threw in Gonzaga over Michigan. I just feel like they have the schedule to do it. I mean, they're top 50 in offensive efficiency as well as top 100 in defense, and I just feel like they have that schedule, and if they win the conference tournament, I don't feel like there's any reason not to give them that number 1 again.
Yeah, Nolan, you got anything different?
Yeah, so I'm with Cameron, but my only difference is Tennessee is not a number 1. I actually have Kentucky, and the reason why I have Kentucky is they played a harder schedule so far, guys. They have better wins on the road. They've beaten UNC, they've beaten Louisville, they've beaten Auburn, they've beaten Mississippi State, they've beaten Kansas. These are all great top 25 teams. So, or top 30 teams, I should say, with Auburn's lost the last 2 weeks. But I like Kentucky as my number one, filling in for Tennessee. But other than that, it's basically the same. I got Duke, Virginia, and Gonzaga.
So is that like a head-to-head victory? Are you saying like Kentucky goes on and wins the SEC? I think that would.
I was gonna say, I think the winner of the SEC is gonna get that.
I think Kentucky, they're just playing better right now, and I think that with Tennessee, you have Grant Williams. If he gets in foul trouble, that offense goes down. So I like Kentucky. They have more weapons.
Yeah, I think Kentucky does have a lot of good wins. That Seton Hall loss is going to hurt them in the long run. I just don't know if they'll keep them out of a one line. Mine is the same as Cameron's. Duke, Virginia, Gonzaga, Tennessee. Those are the top 4 in the net rankings, which they take into account quite a bit. All have 4 to 5 wins in quad 1. So definitely good showing there. Nolan, you want to start with your 2 seed?
Ooh, yeah, I got my 2 seeds, guys. So I got Villanova. They're going to start it off in the East region. They're going to be with Duke boys. So I got Villanova there. Then let's go to Nevada. I got Nevada, a number 2 seed. Okay, guys. I think they don't have any quad 1 wins yet. They're going to win the conference tournament. If they win out, I think with the 1 loss, you can't leave them out of a 2 seed. You have to give them a 2 seed there. Then my next one, I got Tennessee. I think the winner of the SEC will get the 1 seed, and then the loser, I think it's going to be Tennessee against Kentucky. I hope it's a great matchup, but I got Tennessee at 2. And then my last one I got is North Carolina. And I'm not a fan of North Carolina, but in real life, but looking over their schedule and all their wins and stuff, this team could go far.
So, sorry, you said North Carolina, Tennessee, and what were the other 2?
North Carolina, Tennessee, Nevada, and who was my other one? Let's see, right here, Villanova.
Okay.
All right, so for mine, I'm going to go with Michigan. I feel like if they can win the Big Ten, I feel like they're going to have those strength wins. If they can win it, I feel like it's going to come down to just who's the hottest team right now. They're on a fall. Michigan State's on a fall. And then I feel like Kentucky, no one's reasonings. I feel like they have the depth. If they can win the SEC, that's just going to help them build that resume for sure. And then UNC, that's my homer pick there, but they played great last night, man. So, I mean, if they can play like that and get hot in the ACC, I feel like that'll be great. And then I'm going to go with Nova as well. They got the coaching, they got the talent there. So
one thing before you move on, I was listening to a podcast today, and everyone's starting to compare Villanova to the Patriots. How do you guys feel about that?
It's early to say. I think if they turn it on and light it up and go through March again, it'd be hard to stop a similar comparison to like Golden State or New England right there. But I mean, it's early. It's 2 years into that. I mean, or back-to-back championships there. But that's my opinion. So
I like it.
I mean, we'll see come March.
Yeah, we'll save best for last and let Mike go last. But my number 2 seeds. My top number 2 is Kentucky. I think they'll finish the year strong and get that top number 2 seed, possibly sneak in if they can beat Tennessee in the SEC championship or tournament. Excuse me. Then I've got UNC, and then I actually have 2 different than what you guys have been talking about. The reason why I don't have Villanova, they're 20th in the net ranking, which I think they're going to read a lot into, and they don't have that many tough opponents on their schedule going forward. That conference is kind of, you got Marquette and then a big drop off. Not that those teams on the bottom are bad, but they're not going to be as highly
they're
rated
top
towards
30,
their schedule.
Fringe top 35 teams.
Yeah, and that's why I don't have Villanova, but I have Purdue. They're 12 in the net ranking, 5-5 versus Q1 opponents, and they still play some quality competition in the Big Ten. They have a lot of like Wisconsin, Michigan State, and some other teams in there that'll be quality wins if they can pull it together. And I think they're playing really good basketball. And then I've got Louisville as my last number 2 seed, 15 in the net, 3-5 in Q1, which is questionable.
Yeah.
But I think they're really coming into their form now.
Absolutely.
And being in the ACC, you can rack up Q1 wins like it's nothing. You go on a little streak and you're right up there with the big dogs. So that's my 2 seeds.
Yeah, I think what you'll see and what you will take away from watching us here at Four Corners is we each are going to bring something different to the table. Some of us like statistical breakdowns of teams. Some of us like momentum. Some of us, like different angles. So that's what you're going to get, guys. Please give us some feedback and, in what we can do there to help you bring you more better content. And, Cake, if please give us some, some information on how they can get a hold of us here at Four Corners.
Hey guys, check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We got free college basketball picks for you every day. If you're looking for ways to check out the show, we're on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play, and Spotify. And don't forget to check out the video on YouTube. Back to you, boys.
Perfect, guys. Thanks for that. And, just to my 2 seeds, guys, I think you're going to see the teams that I left after the one line that you guys may have, namely Kentucky and Gonzaga right there at the number 2. I think they just fall short of that 1 seed grade. And I think, that's because of Tennessee, and that's because of the strength overall of the power conferences is why Gonzaga doesn't, get the respect there for the 1. Then I also have North Carolina there as well at the 2 seed line. I think they're really right there with Duke and Virginia in talent as far as scoring wise. Definitely, I think their offense is one of the better in the country there. And I think Iowa State is my 4th number 2.
What?
So I think they make a serious run here. I think they maybe lose 1 more game, maybe 2, and they kind of win out. And I really like what I'm seeing for them. And they usually turn it on here in this part of their conference schedule. And I really liked and enjoyed some of the games that they've been playing. They've been really putting it to teams. So that's why I have them as my 2 seed this year.
I really like that pick, especially because they made it to the Elite Eight last year and they returned a lot of players. So I like that pick a lot.
There's something to keep in mind. They are 13 in the net, and just to clarify, these are more of like our projections going forward based on their conferences, what they can acquire going forward, while ESPN's kind of just like, this is the resume that we're taking right now. So maybe like a Mississippi State might make their 4 seed right now. Granted, they're not playing well, but they started the season off well. So it's going to it'll be different than what they're providing, which will give you another angle to look at it. I like this version more because it's definitely possible that all these teams hit these seeds, where then they're kind of just like, it's just basically showing you how they're grading the teams. So.
I feel like that's why we get the fluctuations with, for say, a team with like Villanova through us too for our seeds. So
okay, and then moving on to the 3 seeds, I'll go first here, guys. I've got Michigan as my top 3 seed. They're 5-2 versus Q1 and 5 in the net ranking. So if you're watching this weekend's ESPN show, they could have them as the top 2 seed or something like that, given their resume so far. I am worried about them going forward. I don't think they'll win the Big Ten championship, and I could see them dropping a couple conference games there. And then second, I got Michigan State, another Big Ten team. And then my last 2 number 3 seeds are Houston and Villanova, 2 teams I'm really excited about. I just don't think Houston has that tough of a schedule to jump up into the 1 and 2 line, so I think 3 is perfect for them right there.
I like it.
yeah, well, why don't I go next, guys? For my 3, I have a few teams that I've already mentioned before. I have Louisville coming in as a 3 seed. I really like how they've been streaking together. They were a team of the week of mine in a past episode. Watching the ACC, it's been very, very competitive basketball. I think they've kind of taken a step forward, and they get a 3 seed there. I am also giving a 3 seed, another one, to the ACC in Virginia Tech. I think Virginia Tech has, laid an egg, every once in a while, but I think they've held consistently. They've played some strong basketball in a good conference. I think they finished strong, and they take a 3 seed purely on the strength of ACC. I think, like I said, power conference strength is something I'm playing on here. I think that's going to be weighed heavily when it comes down to the rankings of especially these mid-major teams. Houston, Buffalo makes a run. Teams like that, Gonzaga, for example, going for the 1 seed. That's what I'm looking at. So after that, I also have Texas Tech making the 3 line.
You got more Big 12 teams than I do.
Big 12, yes. I think they've faltered a little bit in the last week or 2, but I think they have the talent and they have the competitive edge to really turn the ship there. And I also have Villanova on the 3 line as well.
I like it. All right, I'll go next. For my first 3 seed, I'm going to go with Michigan State. They've been on a slide, especially with Luden Langford, but I feel like, this is Tom Izzo, and then come March, I feel like they're going to do enough, especially in that conference, to build the resume up to gain a 3 seed. And then I still have some faith in old Rock Chalk Jayhawk.
I like it!
I feel like if Bill Self can right the ship, and especially come Big 12 tournament time, if he can win that, I feel like that'll do enough for the 3 seed. And then going off of what you kind of said, Tanner, I feel like Louisville's getting hot at the right time, especially. I feel like they're playing great. And then I'm going to go with Houston, guys. I feel like if they can win their conference right now, you know, they're playing great basketball. They've only lost once or twice now.
One loss.
Yeah, so one loss. And I just feel like they can hit that right there. So those are my 3.
What about the 4th?
He
Oh,
said,
yeah,
that was Louisville.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with basically the same almost as Tanner and I guess Cameron. I got Houston, guys. I got Michigan. I got Michigan State. And then I got Kansas. And the only reason why I got Kansas is they're undefeated at home and they're undefeated on neutral site floor games. They've beaten Tennessee. They've beaten Michigan State. They've beaten Marquette. They've beaten Wofford. They've beaten Villanova. They've beaten Iowa State. They've beaten Vermont. So they have a great record right now, guys. Yes, they lost to Arizona State, but I do like this team a lot. They do need a new center or somebody to help out Dedrick Lawson, but they're my other 3 seed. So basically the same as you guys except for Kansas.
All right, you want to kick it off with your 4s then?
Yeah, I can kick it
Unless
off.
anyone has anything they want to talk about.
No?
I mean, I think we can save
Yeah.
wedging
For
after,
okay.
for sure, yeah.
So we'll start off with my start. Number 4, guys. Oh, let's see. Purdue. So I got Purdue, guys. Like Tanner was saying earlier, they have great wins. They're coming to life right now. They're shooting 73% on the free throw, and I think come March Madness, it's huge for that. But I got them at a 4 seed. I got Iowa State. It was the hardest thing to decide between Kansas and Iowa State. Iowa State's going to win the Big 12 outright. But Kansas, I think, will make a run during the tournament of the Big 12, and they'll beat Iowa State during that. So I like Iowa State at a 4 seed. Then I have, Louisville, like you guys have in the 3 seed. So it's almost like all the teams that we haven't really said or you guys said, I'm moving them to the 4 seed right now. So I got Louisville. And then my last one, guys, to round it all out, nice and short, is Virginia Tech. Mike, I actually like Virginia Tech. They play great defense. So I like Virginia Tech.
Yeah, guys, I'm just going to kind of speed it up like Nolan there. I had Virginia Tech, Wisconsin, Iowa State, and then Purdue. I just feel like just kind of that same thing. It's one of those spots they could either make it to the 3 seed or they could even maybe make it back to the 5 seed, you know? It's just, I think it's going to be like straight up madness this year to where all these teams are going to be interchangeable. Like next week, we might have a completely different list.
Oh, I might have missed it. Did you not have Nevada on any of them? Or?
I didn't. No, I feel like,
we'll discuss that afterwards, but go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, for my 4s, I also have a couple of different teams here. Marquette is my first team on the 4 line there. They're 3-1 against the AP Top 25. 19-4. They did just lose their last game. However, they have 3 legitimate scorers, and they play very good on-ball defense. They guard well from the 3-point line. I think that's what wins games in March. That was what wins games on the neutral sites. So I think, especially with them showing that they could step up and keep pace with Villanova in that conference, especially with the success Villanova has had in the past. I mean, Villanova's on a 10-game win streak, and Marquette's one game out of that, 2 games out of that conference. So I like them for there. And then I also like Maryland's in the Big Ten. You'll notice that I don't have Michigan State there, so I think they fall out. I think someone fills that void. I don't think it's Purdue. I think Maryland steps up there and takes a 4 seed based on their play in the remaining Big Ten games and obviously the tournament. I also have LSU on the 4 seed line, 17-4 right now. I think the SEC is playing pretty good ball. I like them coming in at a 4 seed and finishing strong there. So three SEC teams there, and then I also have Nevada on a 4 seed for obviously stated reasons. So.
Yeah, and then my 4 seeds real quick, guys. Kansas, Iowa State, Marquette, and Nevada. I think Kansas and Iowa State, they can finish the year strong, and I could see that like maybe an outlier winning the Big 12 and just keeping them at 4. If one of them does win the Big 12, I think they jump to probably a 2 or 3 seed. But as I have it right now, those are my 4 seeds. And then I'm gonna go to Cam now, just because he's one of the only ones that didn't have Nevada, or he is the only one that didn't have Nevada in their top 4 seeds. And a lot of people might be confused by that. They see him ranked in the top 10. They have 1 loss on the season. Do you just want to explain why you don't have him on the top 4?
Well, yeah. Well, I just kind of went for the teams that are higher ranked in both of the offensive efficiency and the defensive efficiency. And whereas Nevada is ranked in the mid 30s and 46 for defensive, I just felt like there's more teams that have better quality wins. I mean, yes, the the Martin twins are there. They play great. They hardly ever turn the ball over. They're number 1 in offensive turnover efficiency. So, I mean, they play great, but I just feel like there's a lot more better teams. But, yes, they are a team that if they get hot, they could make it right back to the Elite Eight. They have the experience. They have the talent with them still being there. But I just feel like as of right now, it's going to get crazy.
Yeah, and that's something to keep an eye on with Nevada. I mean, they do have a lot of quad 2 wins that they scheduled in the offseason that didn't pan out to be quad 1. So they currently don't even have a game in quad 1, which is definitely a red flag when they're getting seeded.
Yeah, and they're 8-0 in the quad 2.
Something they could take a hit on as far as that's concerned. And then definitely if they lose a conference game or don't win the conference tournament, it's definitely pushed them out of the top 4, I think.
Sorry, go ahead. No, you're good.
So I also saw this on, or listened to this on a podcast earlier today, guys. They were coming out and saying the Final Four the last year, there was 22 seniors, 16 juniors, 14 sophomores, and 6 freshmen that made the Final Four last year. So you're kind of seeing how you have all this young talent, and it's super good. It's super great during the season. But when it comes down to you're playing back-to-back games almost, it's these senior guys that can make the difference in the games.
Yeah.
It definitely helps on neutral side road games, stuff like that, to have those senior leadership to pull you along. So those are our top 4 seeds, guys, or top 4 teams for each seed. We're kind of working our way up, and towards the end of the month, we'll probably have a full bracket for you guys, maybe a consensus one if we can agree on something to post for you guys. We'll give you links. Yeah. And then just moving on, we're going to kind of start the madness early. We don't like waiting until March.
Screw March! We want it now!
We'll just do like
March,
like February Fury or something like that.
There you go.
So we're just going to pull the ESPN bracket, and the most intriguing matchups for us are those 5 versus 12 and 4 versus 13. There's always an upset, always good games. It's basically taking the top mid-majors and putting them up against, maybe the second or third best high major team in their conference, which causes some havoc because some people feel like mid-majors maybe don't belong. But I mean, they definitely do. You can see by the stats in the past few years. 5 versus 12 seeds in the past 5 years, 10 of them have won outright. So that's 2 a year just beat a 5 seed, which is pretty intriguing. So we're going to start with the first 5 versus 12 hypothetical matchup that they have, and just kind of discuss if we think this lower mid-major team can beat the high major team. So starting off first, Wisconsin versus Hofstra. Wisconsin out of the Big Ten. Definitely some NBA talent. They play some solid ball. They can also falter to any team that you've seen them play.
They play down to competition.
Definitely a roller coaster team. And then we got Hofstra, guys. What do you think about that? You want to start, Nolan?
Yeah, I like Hofstra on this one, guys. Just like Mike was saying, Wisconsin plays down to their opponent, and when you do that during March Madness, you open the door for an upset. So I like Hofstra right there on that one.
Yeah. I feel like out of the matchups, I feel like this is one of the ones that could actually happen the most. Gosh, I can't remember his last name, but his name is Garrison Harris, I believe.
For what team?
For
Hofstra.
Their leading scorer is Justin Wright Foreman at 25.5 a game, and then Jaquil Taylor is their big man rebounder.
So I was thinking of someone else.
You might be thinking of point guard or something like that.
But anyway, I mean, they're just one of those teams that, again, they don't turn the ball over. They're high in the offensive efficiency. Defensive-wise, they let up a lot more offensive rebounds than you would like because of just their small size overall. But other than that, I feel like they could come in, especially against a team like Wisconsin, like Mike's saying, that plays down. They could be a team that could sneak in and knock one of these guys out.
Yeah, and it's offensively how they're going to do that. I mean, they're a top 25 efficient offense in the country. I think they've flown under the radar. The Colonials in an average conference at best, I think, and that's part of the reason why. But yeah, their defense needs work. So it's something that's possible. Like Tanner said, Wisconsin has some pretty good talent and does play well. So if they get hot, especially in the conference tournaments, I mean, they still may be seated at that same spot and go on a run. So
yeah, for sure. And then the Hofstra's a very guard-heavy lineup, guys. Their tallest player is 6'10". He averages 8 rebounds a game. Other than that, they play 1 forward and 4 guards in their starting lineup, which can cause some problems for some high major teams if they're not used to that. And it can also cause problems if they're not making shots because they're not going to be getting the rebounds to stay in the game. So they definitely need to get hot. They shoot a ton of free throws. They over 81%. So definitely a possibility for an upset. Those are some things you look for is the free throw shooting in March. Because, sometimes you get that ref that's tic-tac, and that can decide the game. If you make your free throws and they don't, that could be a 15-point swing.
So second in the nation, I think it was what Hofstra was.
Second in free throw percentage.
Yeah. So
and they attempt over 30 a game, so they're getting to the line.
Absolutely.
And then moving on here, guys, Iowa State hosting New Mexico State.
Skip.
Definitely a tough one. New Mexico State, I don't think is that as good as they were last season.
18-4 currently.
Yeah, they just don't have a star on their team. They have probably 6 people, right, between 12 and 7 points a game. They have a deep bench. They play a lot of players, but they don't have a star to take over, which worries me.
Very inconsistent. They have a great win here and there, and then they go on the 2-game losing streak, and then they win one, and then they go on the 3-game losing streak.
Especially against a team like Iowa State who plays athletically, it's going to be hard for them to keep up. Yeah. And I'm not sure if anyone has any other opinion.
Yeah, New Mexico State lives and dies by the 3. I mean, they're averaging top 10 in the nation in point attempts, and they're bottom 5th, I think, in 3-point percentage. So they've been winning, but their defense is okay as well. I mean, they are stopping opponents, and I think that's what's helping that 3-and-D mentality that they play. But that's. When you're shooting that low percentage in the regular season, that's only going to get worse in March, I feel, and that can't help.
Yeah, and so if you guys pull up your bracket on Selection Sunday and you see New Mexico State, just one red flag I noticed is their leading scorer, averaging 12 points a game, is a freshman. For a mid-major team, I just feel like that's not a good formula for March, but we'll keep an eye on that. Definitely probably not one of my upset picks when the bracket comes out, so keep an eye on that for sure.
No, I like this Iowa State. I have them going back to the Elite 8, guys. Merrill Shayok is a beast, 19 points per game, man. This team has the free throw percentage they need, 73%. Offensive efficiency, they're ranked 12th in the nation at 117 per 100 possessions, guys. Defensive efficiency, they're 22nd in the nation. This Iowa State team plays in the best conference in America currently. The Big 12 has 8 of their 10 teams in the top 35, and Iowa State is leading that conference. I love Iowa State. You can't pick against them on this one, guys.
That's some energy from that take.
You're right.
So,
Big 12, baby. That's my only Big 12 team I believe in.
Thanks for waking us up there. We appreciate that.
All right, and then moving on to one that is probably a little closer, Texas Tech VCU. Texas Tech can falter. If they aren't hitting their shots, they can look like a team that's probably not going to make the tourney. So what do you guys think about that matchup?
Well, I mean, VCU has the defense to do it, man.
All defense.
I mean, if it comes down to that
part of it,
kind of a game, I feel of course, but they have that mentality and the momentum and the tempo to do it.
Yeah, VCU's offense just isn't up to par, I think, here. I mean, Texas Tech is one of the better defensive teams in the country.
Yeah.
Can lapse, just like Wisconsin. I feel like one of those teams is just oddly lackadaisical at stretches, 10-minute stretches of games, and that costs them. So, I think, with VCU's defensive rating, particularly behind the arc, Texas Tech is going to have to rely on those big bodies, have to rely on the glass where they excel, and because they're going to rely on that, I think they do win the game.
Yeah, and VCU is very similar to what West Virginia does. They play a very high-tempo defense. I think they're probably better than West Virginia based on what West Virginia's done this season. So it'd be interesting to see how they match up against a team, especially away from home where they don't have that energy to push the defense. It'd be interesting to see how they hold up against a team like Texas Tech. I think that's the perfect matchup for them, though.
Yeah, I do too.
If
I
they're
agree
going to
with
get a
that.
matchup.
Yeah.
I agree with you guys.
Yeah.
Texas Tech, they're Big 12. I like them. They have the best defense, like Mike has stated. The only thing is their offense goes in spurts. They will disappear for an entire game, and it's irritating. With that good of a defense, you would think that offense would start coming together. They love to pressure people, but I like VCU, guys.
All right, and then the last 5 versus 12 matchup we've got in this hypothetical bracket would be LSU versus Davidson. Davidson, a very good shooting team. LSU coming on strong. What do you guys think about that? Mike, you want to start?
Yeah, I think this is going to be I think this is the most competitive matchup out of these
Yeah,
here.
no,
I
agreed.
think that could swing either way depending. But I mean, Davidson is very underrated. I think they could be very dangerous. Could make a Sweet 16 run if they get that first W. So I mean, when you're shooting, when you're getting to the line and shooting the 3 ball as well as they are, that's how you win ball games. And when you match that with a top 50 defense, efficiency wise, that's the proof is in the pudding, pumpkin, as they say. And I think they can win. But LSU is a team that I have ranked very high, has seeded and graded very highly right now. I think if I'm looking at it, I think they just outpace Davidson at the finish line.
Yeah, that's kind of my opinion too. I like Davidson. At the same time, they're so reliant on the 3-pointer. They have to get going to win, which, I mean, yes, they can beat anyone when you're making threes, but it's a different beast shooting threes in March. So, I mean, me personally, I'm probably staying away from them in this situation just because they don't have as much balance as I would like from a mid-major team. They can't get to the line or rebound, as well to keep themselves in the games. They just have to make threes. That's plain and simple. They have to shoot a very good three-point percentage, and some of these high major teams will scheme against that. They'll play tight D on the 3, and it'll cause some problems for them. So I'm probably staying away on this one.
Yes.
What do you guys think?
I'm in the same boat as you guys, really. I want to go with Davidson, but then I feel like after I dove into the numbers and everything, LSU is one of the teams that I want to keep a tail on,
No,
I want to watch them as we go into the conference tournament, because I feel like if they can perform in the SEC, because they're just one of those teams that, almost like the Mississippi States and Ole Miss, they've been hot at one point, but then they kind of go on these spurts to where if they can come in hot at the moment, they can maybe even make a deeper run, where I think Davidson is relying on these kind of lower conference wins and everything else to build up that resume.
Yeah, and I think LSU does have a young team as well, which is worrisome.
Yeah.
But I mean, their top. Sorry,
You go, Cam.
I mean, I was just gonna say that they're top 16 in offensive efficiency, and they're in the top 50 in defense. For being so young, I feel like they're playing really well.
Yeah, the only thing I got to add, guys, is LSU neutral site games. They're not very good. They're 2-2. They lost to one of the worst teams in the Big 12, Oklahoma State, and they also lost to Florida State, which is, you could say that's an okay loss in overtime, but at the same time, they got wrecked by Oklahoma State in a neutral site game. So I could see them winning the first round, this round, I can see them winning that, but then the second round, that's when you're going to start seeing more people have issues. So,
and then
I'm staying away.
Just quickly, you guys want to give maybe 1 or 2 that you could possibly see out of these that you would maybe pick in your bracket? I think, for me, Hofstra and VCU are the 2 I'm keeping an eye on, but what do you guys think?
Yeah, those are the 2 most likely. Davidson, like I said, is going to be right there. That's too competitive a matchup for me to even pick the upset there. But Hofstra, I think for sure is very seeable. VCU, if Texas Tech starts dunking it off the rim, definitely.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on those.
All right, and then last season we saw 2 13 seeds take down 4 seeds in Buffalo.
That's one of the funner ones.
Buffalo beating Arizona here in Boise last year, which is pretty interesting, and then Marshall beating Wichita State. So definitely some capability in these 4 versus 13. Doesn't always happen, but it did happen twice last year. Mid-majors are starting to get better as the years go on, it seems like. So the first matchup, guys, Virginia Tech, who we've seen some inconsistencies versus Vermont. I'll kind of start on this one here just to get going. Vermont 17-5. They've beaten the likes of Yale, Harvard, George Mason, Northeastern. And then they had some close games versus Kansas, Louisville. So definitely a team that can compete. They get to the free throw line a lot. They have a Anthony Lamb who scores over 20 points a game and gets over 8 rebounds. So having that star potential definitely helps in March. And they're a well-versed team on the road. They've had some good wins on the road against some quality opponents. So I think that helps going into March as well. So I think they're definitely a competitive team in this one.
Yeah, no, I could see that, but I just feel like Virginia Tech's going to be the team to beat. They're coming in at 11th in offensive efficiency. They're coming in at 24th in defensive. They also are number 12 in getting turnovers, and they hardly ever commit turnovers themselves. I feel like they're just one of those deep, strong, mid ACC teams that just kind of get in these lower seeds, but maybe can still make some havoc.
Yeah, I think that playing to the strength of what I've been talking about all episode is the strength of these power conferences, and I think that's why you're seeing a lot of these in these matchups of the 4s, the 3s, the 5s. I think that's why they're just going to be graded higher. And Vermont's a very good team. We've kept an eye on them for our ATS picks, Four Corners ATS for the Twitter. Follow that, please. Give us some feedback there. But Vermont's a team that favors a fast tempo. I think they can have the potential to run Virginia Tech out of the gym. If they pick up that tempo and they hit those shots. However, Cam's exactly right. I think the power conferences are just too strong here in this case. Virginia Tech, Vermont struggles against teams that get to the bucket, slash and drive teams. That's exactly what ACC play is kind of predicated on, and so I think Virginia Tech is the better team here and takes the win.
No, I agree with you guys on BT. I like them in their defense, so I go BT.
Yeah, and then Nolan, you want to start on this next matchup: Houston versus Murray State. John Morant, possible top 10 NBA pick. So
dude, he's a baller.
It's gotta mean
Straight
something.
baller.
Gotta mean something in March.
Yeah.
What do you think, Nolan?
Yeah, it does. I like Houston, though, in this one, guys. You got Corey Davis Jr. He's shooting at 10 points per game right now, 3 rebounds. And then we got Amarnie Brooks, 14.3. Both these guys are senior and junior. You've seen that Houston, their offense isn't so good. They're 52 offensive efficiency, but their defense is fabulous, guys.
Mm-hmm.
They basically slow your team down, and then when you have a turnover, they're a fast court team. They're going to score quick. I like this team in Houston. Their offense is a little hit or miss, so if they could turn it on during this March Madness, they can make a deep run.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. I like Houston, but John Morant, that guy's a baller. He's one of those guys that you have to watch in the tournament for sure. He just straight up is a baller.
Yeah, and Murray State plays a very interesting style that I think would translate into a neutral site in March. They set a lot of screens, attack the basket a lot. They're second in attempts in the paint, which for such a small team has got to say something.
Yeah.
They get high percentage shots. It's just if they get them to go in, maybe if they get the whistle to go their way, could keep them in games. And then obviously they have that star potential in John Morant. So I think this is an interesting team come March. The one red flag for me is their quality wins. They don't have a signature win. Yes, they have a close game versus Auburn, close game versus Alabama, but they don't have a signature win, which is definitely worrisome when you're going up against one of these 4 seeds that are a very, very good team.
Yeah, for sure.
Guys, something because they're coming up now. Something that I should touch on. I did not have Houston in my top 4 seeds. I think that plays into my whole strength of conference as well for the power conferences there. But I looking into their numbers, they are statistically rated very highly. Now, I honestly think the American Conference has been pretty good this year. However, I think their stats are slightly bloated, especially on the defensive ends, because there is some higher scoring teams in that conference, and I think they haven't faced a team defensively like Houston, and so once they go up against Houston, I think they stop them, and so defensively wise, I think they're a little bit bloated, honestly. And I've watched stretches of their games where they could be lackadaisical on the defensive end and go 8 to 10 minute stretches where they're giving up 30 points. So I really think that hurts the team in March, and that's why I don't have any confidence in Houston. So this is an upset that I'm looking at.
Awesome. Yeah, and then the next one is the one that I'm most excited about. After doing research, I kind of got really interested in what Old Dominion's done this season. But we got Nevada versus Old Dominion. And some of you might not know Old Dominion. They're 18-6. they have wins over Syracuse, VCU, Western Kentucky. So they're 2-0 in the top 50 in games that they played. So it's almost like they play up the competition. They play one of the slowest paces in the league. So they play defense. They force you to make shots. They can kind of slow down that pace a little bit and take you out of your comfort zone. They do rely on two players, BJ Stith, 18 points per game, and Caver at 17 points per game. But having those two go-to guys, just thinking back to the past times that there's been upset, they almost have a couple go-to guys that can go get baskets, and I think these will be those two guys. So I mean, not necessarily against Nevada, but Nevada hasn't been what I expected at the start of the season, so this is definitely one that I'm looking. It's one of my possible upsets.
No, and I'm just going to kind of go right behind you because I'm kind of in the same boat as well. It's kind of why I left Nevada out. I feel like in this matchup with these groups, I feel like that Old Dominion and the way they play, it's almost exactly like Nevada. So it just comes down to who's better. And I feel like these teams are kind of built exactly the same way because Nevada's going to run through the Twins and they're going to run through the two that you mentioned. So I just feel like they are the better team because of the quality of play.
Yeah, and they remind me a lot of last year's Nevada team because they're a very short team. They're all about 6'6", just like Nevada last year. They switch on ball screens. They're able to guard every position, which provides some flexibility defensively, and it can cause some problems for some teams that like to drive to the basket.
Yeah,
so.
and that's what they do.
But I do think that it causes some problems offensively, and I think that's part of the reason we've seen them struggle this year. Nevada. Yeah. I mean, you're seeing the ball move through Carolina a little bit more. You're seeing a little bit of indecisiveness on the part of the Martin twins. So, and they're, even when they're not indecisive, they're just jacking up shots. So I think offensively is where they're going to struggle. And, Old Dominion is, love Old Dominion. I bet, actually, I've been burned on them a couple times in the ATS picks, but I've kept coming back to them. They're a team I like. I love the campus too, by the way. Raising Cane's there on campus, but they're one of these mid-major teams I've had my eye on for about 2 or 3 weeks, and they can play really good ball. The problem is they go ice cold offensively, and they have the defense to keep them in games. So when you go ice cold like that, it causes some problems. I think Nevada may win this on pure talent alone, but
no, I agree with Mike. They're gonna run through Jordan Caroline. This dude is a beast. He's almost averaging a double-double. He's averaging 18 points per game, 9.9 rebounds per game, and 2 assists per game. So this Nevada team, I think a lot of people are looking at this Nevada team just like last year. They're like, well, it's Nevada. They don't play anybody good. They don't do anything. But you're bringing back everybody that came last year. And my biggest thing in looking at this is how many seniors or how many people have experienced this and going to the tournament. And they have experienced huge games. They came alive in huge games. They were down, 20 points during one time, and they came back and beat twice in a row last March Madness. I love this Nevada team. They're experienced. They're ready to go, guys, and I think they're going to make a run this year.
Yeah,
very
great points there. And we'll let Cam start on this one. In this 3-point competition, I'm sure we'll see. I'm about to put some money on the over right now already.
Absolutely. Oh my.
But these are hypothetical once again, guys. 4 versus 13. Villanova versus South Dakota State, and the Mike Dahmers over there. What do you think?
No, dude, this guy's a beast. He's a baller. But they're averaging 85 points, guys. They're 19-6, they're 9-1 in conference, and they shoot the three. They're second in the nation, hitting 42% of their threes, and they're 11th in 2-point field goal percentage. So these guys, I mean, they hit it from anywhere. They can, So I hate the fact that they play Nova, though. That's the scary thing. Yeah. But I mean, I'm gonna be rooting for them. They're one of my favorite, more mid-major teams, and I am a Dahmer.
Yeah, I mean, they could get a better matchup too.
Right.
So.
Yes, this is a team that needs to be watched, South Dakota State. I mean, if you have not watched these guys play offensively, it's not just a 3-point line where these guys shoot the ball well. It's everywhere on the floor. They really light it up and play very extremely efficient offense, and it's very fun to watch. And I think the Cams hit the nail on the head there. It's the matchup here with Villanova where I think it causes kind of a problem. But when they break down teams once they get into their half-court offense, and that's where they excel. Villanova, I see, it could make it into a breakaway game, a transition offense game. They do shoot a lot of threes, but that's something that they may move to with the experience that they have, with the adjustment that they have. I think that's what happens in the game, and they start turning it into a transition game, and they eventually win that. But South Dakota State, if they have a better matchup, they could make a serious run in this tournament.
Yeah, and that's something I was kind of keeping my eye on, because I like this team from an outside perspective, and then researching them, there were too many red flags for me, which is why I'm not really on the South Dakota bandwagon yet. They don't really have a quality win. You could say GCU, Grand Canyon University, is their best win of the season. They don't score in the paint. They're not very good at scoring in the paint, so that leaves them with relying on the three-point line, which they are one of the best three-point shooting teams. Like we talked about, Mike Daum over 25 points a game, and then Jenkins and Flatten 19 points per game and 16, both shooting over 47% from three. So they have people at every position who can shoot the three. I think if they get in the right matchup, a team that isn't used to a team like this that can spread the floor, because Mike Daum can shoot from three too, a big man. Mm-hmm. So it would take the right matchup. I think they have the chance, but there's just too many red flags for me. It's so hard to keep up if you can't score in the paint in March, and they don't defend very well.
So take away the Furman and Penn loss that Villanova had, and they only have 2 losses. You guys would probably put them at close to a 2 or 1 seed, correct? With 2 losses to Michigan and KU.
Yeah.
I'm looking at this Villanova team as they were going through their hiccups, their bumps and stuff. I don't like any of these 4 and 13 matchup guys. Yeah. Just because I think you're going to get more of your value on like the 6 and 11s and 7 and 10s, but these 4 and 13s right now, they have them set up where these 4 ranked teams are money. Yeah. This is where I would put my money on the 4 and 13 on this year if it stays this way. Only that, but I'm going Villanova.
Do you have one that you're maybe iffy about that you'd like to maybe a 13 so you could, if you had to pick one?
Yeah, it'd be Virginia Tech against Vermont. I think that out of all of them, that's the one I'm looking at the most. I just think all the other ones, there's too good of defense. Villanova, like we're talking right here, Villanova's offense is ranked nationally in the top 15 for offensive efficiency, so I'm liking Villanova. I don't think South Dakota State is going to be able to hold them off with Phil Booth just wrecking them.
Yeah, I think I lock in Murray State there with an upset over Houston. I think if you're looking at any other game, it's also the 2 mid-major matches, quote-unquote, with Old Dominion and Nevada as a potential. But outside of that, I think Virginia Tech and Villanova win.
Cam, do you have one that you like?
I guess I'd go with the Old Dominion. I just feel like out of the matchups, that one I feel like could happen.
Yeah. Old Dominion is going to be mine as well. They've proven they can beat some high-quality teams. Yeah. And then they can slow the pace down, which kind of causes some problems for certain teams. But that's going to do it for this session of college basketball. Give you guys some more insight at March. That's the best month of the year, right? It's almost like Christmas morning when Selection Sunday comes and the bracket comes out. It's like, whoo!
And then just
gets me all flustered.
All day Thursday and Friday just in front of the TV.
I'm excited.
And back-to-back games all day.
Kind of our goal with this is just bring some light to those mid-major teams, get you guys prepared. Make sure you're not just picking a name. Make sure you know which team you're picking if you're taking an upset.
And then give a shout out to the ATS guys. Like last month, we killed it. So make sure you guys are watching the Twitter accounts and everything like that, the Snapchat videos that we're starting to do.
Interact with us too, because
very high percentage, absolutely.
Well, stay tuned for next week too, because don't forget next week, guys. Everyone's talking about mid-majors this week.
Right.
My better mid-majors are, I think, next week. A lot better that could go farther.
There's
pay attention.
A lot of the teams that we actually watch and track for our ATS picks weren't.
We haven't even talked about them yet.
So I think mid-majors are something that we like here at the Four Corners Sports Show, and it's something that we watch. So please, there's many different ways, guys, that you can give feedback to us. We want to provide content that you want to watch, you want to listen to, and that you ultimately enjoy. So, damn it, please leave us some comments. Tell us what we did wrong. Tell us what we did right. Tell us what we can improve on. Kate, why don't you give us one more time a list of ways they can listen to Four Corners or view us here, as well as how they can get in contact with us, stay up to date with us.
Hey guys, check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We got free college basketball picks for you every day. If you're looking for ways to check out the show, we're on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play, and Spotify. And don't forget to check out the video on YouTube. Back to you, boys.
Yeah, guys. Well, I finished my video, so it's about that time. Thank you very much for joining us on another episode of the Four Corners Sports Show for College Basketball Edition, guys.
Thank you.
Episode 3 released on YouTube. First one, College Basketball. Thanks for tuning into our ugly mugs here. But we look forward to bringing you some more awesome, informative, and most importantly, original content shortly. In the meantime, here's to you, here's to us, and we'll catch you next time on the Four Corners Sports Show.